Dun, 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 dun. Oh, hello there. Hi again. Welcome to the Liberal Playmaker podcast. I am your host, the Liberal Playmaker, and today we're going to talk about a little bit of La Liga action. Actually, it's probably going to be a heavy La Liga show. We're going to talk about a little bit of Serie A, and then we're going to talk a little bit of Man United. They played against Spurs today, and that was not good. So, before we start, before we dig in, before we get to the good stuff, please, if this is your first time, welcome. We're going to talk about some soccer. Sometimes we talk about a little bit of politics. Usually, politics, we'll leave it to the midweek show. The weekend, usually there's just a lot of soccer. There's a lot of stuff to cover. So usually I don't. I like to take a little bit of break and probably give you guys a break too, because if you're as plugged in as I am, you probably don't want to be listening to all that stuff. If you're watching me on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. You can find me on Spotify, and you can also find me on Apple Podcasts. I do have Twitter, I do have Blue Sky, I do have TikTok and Instagram and Threads. You can find me there too, the Liberal Playmaker podcast, or just the Liberal Playmaker. You can go ahead and find me. I'll pop up there. And if you like and share and subscribe, it helps the show. So please keep that in mind. Hopefully you like it because you like it. And let's get started because we have a lot to cover. Let's get right to it. Let's go to the weekend action. Let's start with Saturday. We're going to go with Osasuna versus Real Madrid. Madrid are away to Osasuna. And if you guys remember this past show, I made a prediction. I predicted that Real Madrid were going to go ahead and probably rotate heavily because they had a midweek game. They had that Champions League game. So I was thinking that maybe they would go ahead and rest some players, especially since their defense isn't doing too well. A lot of the players are injured. But that didn't happen. So there were not that many changes for Real Madrid. And also, I can tell you that not much happened in this game. So in the 14th minute, we had a goal by Mbappe. Valverde was on the right with a simple cross, and Mbappe beats his man to the ball to get there first. He slides in for a great goal, and that puts Real Madrid up 1-0. Now, again, these past few shows, I've been talking a lot about Jude Bellingham and his aggression. He's been out there. He's been fired up. He's been making the tackles. He's been making the difference. So on Saturday, that aggression really failed him. He got a red card. And it wasn't for anything specifically that he did to a player. It was just he said F off to the ref. And the Spanish ref thought that meant F you, but no, it's just F off. And apparently there's a difference. That's what he was arguing. That's what Carlo Ancelotti, the coach, was arguing after the game. He got a red card. Bad for Jude. Bad for Real Madrid. And we'll get to it in a second because, by the way, again, nothing really happened of note other than those two things in the first half. And in the second half, in the 57th minute, goal, penalty, Madrid drop points. The final is 1-1 Real Madrid, Osasuna. So, can Atletico Madrid, who we're going to play later that afternoon, make the difference? Their arch rivals, their arch nemesis, drop points. They're in second place. They're going to play Celta Vigo. Can Atleti capitalize? Can they make the difference? Aye. In the 6th minute, red card for Barrios. Atletico Madrid's midfielder Barrios gets a red card. It was just going to be a yellow. It was a simple foul, nothing to look at, but VAR, the video assistant referee, intervenes. He calls the ref. The ref goes and looks at the monitor. He sees the foul in slow motion, And if you watch soccer like I watch soccer, you know that as soon as you see a foul in slow motion, it always looks worse than it is when they play it in regular speed. And I think because of that, a lot of those get turned into red cards where maybe in the past it would have been a yellow, a strong caution. Unfortunately for Barrios, he gets the red card. Horrible start for Atletico. Now, because of that, Atletico are now down to 10 men, and Celta Vigo are actually not really creating that much. Not until the 66th minute. So we had to go all the way to the second half. Golazo by Iago Barry Aspas. His name is not Barry, but that's what they call him. For those that know, you know where that's from. The old man put Celta Vigo in the lead for the 1-0, and it was a spectacular penalty. Great, great goal. It wasn't a Panenka, but this was just, it was done incredibly well. After that goal, there should be a mantra in the back of every Atletico Madrid player because I feel like they're just saying the same thing over and over and over in their head. And that's never give up, never surrender, always keep fighting. Blood, sweat, tears. Jimenez with a long ball over the top. The ball bounces for Sorloth. He takes control and he shoots for the 1-1. So even though stuff got pretty heavy for Atletico, it looked like they were going to lose this game. They ended up at least getting 1 point out of it, which, I mean, if you're in that a horrible spot to begin with, you can probably spin it as you're rescuing the game for yourself. But in reality, it was probably 2 points lost. Now, here's the thing because Real Madrid dropped points, Atletico Madrid dropped points, who's going to be the real winner? Is it going to be Barcelona again? So we won't know because at the time of this recording, they haven't played yet. They play tomorrow on Monday, and we'll talk about that in a second. That's going to be a big, big game now. But let's go to the bottom half of the table for Valencia. Villarreal take on Valencia. So Valencia are away to Villarreal. Valencia are really, really fighting tooth and nail to claw their way out of the relegation zone. They've been winning their home games. They've been drawing their away games. They haven't been losing too much. They did lose pretty heavily to Barcelona, but anybody can do that. That's neither here nor there. So how was Valencia going to react to this game? And I can tell you right off the bat that it wasn't very good because they took it very slow. It was a very methodical game. I think a neutral would have fallen asleep. But anyways, within the first 20 minutes, my notes, I took some notes on this game. I wanted to see what Valencia were really, really going to come and do. And unfortunately, all they did was defend well. And a Valencia fan will tell you that that's probably good. That's their job right now, right? They're playing away. To me, I really wanted to see a little bit more, especially from what I've been seeing with their home games. But unfortunately, that just wasn't happening here. And also, you got to credit Villarreal. So Villarreal had a lot of the ball. They were really controlling the pace. They were really attacking a lot. So Villarreal were definitely playing the home game, and they were trying to score. Valencia were trying to survive. And again, nothing really happens until the 31st minute. So here we have finally a breakthrough. Villarreal, Gueye unleashed a cannon. So something really, really special about this goal is that when they showed it to you in slow motion, the ball was traveling incredibly fast. So you can only imagine the speed that it was going when it was actually in full speed. Man, that was just one heck of a cañón. Goal, golazo. Just good, good, good for Gueye. Villarreal go 1-0 up. And then again, it was just a lot of Villarreal. I mean, in this game, Valencia were really trying their best. I mean, you could tell that they weren't as fired up before. It's really, really hard to compete, I guess, with somebody as good as Villarreal for them. Now, Villarreal is also mid-table. They're not. They were special a few years ago. This season, last season, they're just a safe team, and compared to Valencia, that's a big, big jump. I would suggest that Valencia would dream to be Villarreal at the moment. So, not a very good performance by Valencia, but in the 83rd minute, they got lucky. Sadiq is there for the rebound. He heads it in. So this was a great goal. A shot comes in. The keeper parries it, but it goes up. And Sadiq is a very tall guy. He gets there first with his head, and boom, just heads it in over the top of the keeper for the 1-1. Now, here's the good news for Valencia. They climbed out of the relegation zone on Saturday, but they went back into the zone on Sunday because Espanyol drew with Athletic Club Bilbao. Now, these two teams are probably going to be the ones who are going to be fighting for their lives. So already we have Valencia jumping Espanyol and Espanyol jumping Valencia. So who's going to be the team that can really claw their way out of that relegation zone? We'll see. I personally think that Valencia probably has a little bit more firepower. Espanyol, uh, you know, I love their activism. They have a great stadium. They're in a great city, but it looks like they just probably don't have enough goals. Valencia right now, I mean, they're getting goals from their defenders. They're getting goals from their midfield. Their forwards are scoring. And when they're at home, they really, really look like they can tear it up. This wasn't a good performance, as I mentioned before, but if they can keep that home aggression and bring that into their away games, they'll be just fine. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Barcelona play tomorrow versus Rayo Vallecano. Will Barcelona capitalize? If Barcelona win, they go joint top with Real Madrid. They will be tied in first place. If you are free at, I believe they're going to play at 2 p.m. United States time. I think that's Central Time. Check your Google. Just Google Barcelona schedule. It'll pop up. It'll tell you what time they're going to play. If you have some time, watch this game because Rayo, even though they're a small team, they're the other team in Madrid. Sometimes they can really surprise you. And they can really make things difficult, especially for a team like Barcelona. I think, though, that Barcelona will probably scrape through with a 2-1 win. Now, here's a notable scoreline. Real Betis, they beat Real Sociedad 3-0, 3-0, with a notable goal by Antony. So Antony, the loanee from Manchester United. At Manchester United, he couldn't do anything. But at Real Betis, he's a new man. He's been scoring. He's been really making the difference. And here again, he went ahead and he scored. helping his team win 3-0. And this is good. This is good for Anthony. It's good for Real Betis, and it's good for Manchester United because his value goes up. If they sell him, hopefully they sell him at a good price. And it's helping Real Betis win games. So this loan is looking like it's good for everybody involved. Good for Anthony too, because he's been needing a change. The Premier League, at least with Manchester United, was not agreeing with him, um, and I'm glad that he's doing well at Real Betis. Now, that's the La Liga action. Let's take a quick break. And we're back. Okay, so let's jump forward in time. Let's jump forward to today, Sunday. Whew. We're going to go to the Premier League really fast. Manchester United versus Spurs. So, this was the big thing about this game. Both coaches, Ange Postecoglou from Spurs, Ruben Amorim from Manchester United, both under a lot of pressure, both losing games, both teams not playing well, both teams now decimated by injuries. Ruben Amorim reported yesterday that not only was the entire midfield injured, so Kobe Mainu was out, Manuel Ugarte was out, Christian Eriksen was out. Um, there's another one in there that I'm forgetting, but also Diallo was out. Now Diallo's the star man. He is the superstar right now, the one that makes the difference. And he had an ankle ligament injury, and he's completely out for the season. He will be having surgery on that ankle. Horrible, horrible news for Manchester United and their fans. If anything, we already knew that this season was, at least the league, was pretty much done. But when you have these types of serious injuries, um, it makes it very difficult to progress in the FA Cup. It makes it very difficult to progress in the Europa League. And we might be looking at a complete and horrible disaster of a season. Spurs, on the other hand, are Spurs. They don't win anything. They haven't won anything in a long, long time. But they won this game. And they deserved it. In the 12th minute, Madison with a good goal. First, there was an initial shot. It was saved by Onana. But he put it right in front of Madison, who just pushed it in for the 1-0. And that's all that happened. Spurs won 1-0. It was a horrible game where two teams showed that they are where they are because their players are just not up to it. A lot of them are injured. I think if we had a full squad, it would have been a little bit better. Who knows if we would have beat Spurs, but I think it would have been more of a contest with these two teams every time they went forward. Pretty much every attack just completely snuffed out. There were a few chances for both teams. The clearest one was for Garnacho for the equalizer, but he skied it. I think that ball is still in orbit out in outer space. After the 90th minute, I was just glad that it was done. Manchester United dropped points. They are now in 15th place. The only highlight for Manchester United and their fans in this game was in the 90th minute when Cheeto Obi made his debut. Now, Cheeto Obi, he's 17 years old. He scored a hat trick in midweek with the academy. And he's been scoring a lot of goals in the academy. Now, because of the decimated first team squad, the bench for Manchester United was filled with kids. The only senior player was Lindelof. I don't think I'd ever seen anything like that before in my life. where almost the entire bench was made up of children. Now, obviously, these are very, very good kids. They are on their way. Excuse me. They are professionals. They are professionals. They have contracts. When the team is this bad already, when Casemiro was showing you that he can hardly run in midfield, I was hoping for one of the kids, one of the midfielders, to get at least 30 minutes. And I was hoping that Cheeto would at least have gotten anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes. All Cheeto got was 3 minutes. That's incredibly disappointing. Let's face it, one of my good friends on Twitter, at Cantona Collars, incredible knowledge of Manchester United, incredible knowledge of their history, made a very elegant point. And he stated that this game, in the big picture, just doesn't matter. We're already 12th. You're not going to win the league. Play the kids. That would have been the best thing, in my opinion, because at least you would have injected a little bit of positivity into an already crap season. The kids would have given you a little bit of hope. Even if they don't go on and do anything again for the rest of their life, at least we would have had a moment of positivity where, geez, he does a good play, or Cheeto has an opportunity to score, or just something. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. And I can also understand why. I mean, it's a crap situation. Ruben Amorim is probably thinking, I'm going to protect these kids from this disaster. They don't have to be a part of it. This is a bin fire. I can see his logic if that's what he was thinking. I just think that you really have nothing to lose by at least throwing in two kids. Casemiro was tired. We needed legs in midfield. And there was a kid on the bench with legs who could run. At least, if he didn't create anything, he would have been able to have chased down somebody because he could run. And then the other point with Cheeto, at least he would have touched the ball if he would have 10 to 15 minutes in, because with only 3 minutes, he didn't do anything. But congratulations to him. He's been working very, very hard, and he got his opportunity to finally represent the first team at Manchester United. Hopefully, these next few games, we'll see a little bit more. We'll see a little bit more positive things. Let's take one more quick break. And we're back. Thank you for staying with me. I know that was a little bit of a rant. I'm a passionate Manchester United fan. It's been a tough season. And congratulations to Spurs. They deserved their 3 points. Now, let's head on over to Serie A, because this is a league where we actually, much like La Liga, there's a race. So let's backtrack just a little bit. Inter Milan were in second, and they, in the span of a week, have had 3 very important games. They played Fiorentina twice. They played them on not this past Friday, but the Friday before that. Then they played last Monday. So Fiorentina took the first game. In the second game, Inter won that game. And now they played again this weekend. They played against Juventus, the Derby d'Italia. That's a very, very important game. It's the Italian derby. The 2 biggest teams in Italy. AC Milan might have something to say about that, but they're the ones with the most domestic titles between them. Now, just before we get to the Derby d'Italia, Uh, just wanted to set that up for you. Napoli played Lazio. So Napoli headed to Rome. Now, when they played Roma, they dropped points. It was a big, big game. And now they head back to Rome. So Lazio is the other team in Rome. And Napoli drop points. Oof. I'm not going to lie, this was probably the better game. Just because there were so many goals. In the 5th minute, Isaacson just lets it rip. One hell of a cañonazo. 1-0. What a hell of a goal. I recommend just go to YouTube, watch the highlights for Lazio versus Napoli. That Isaacson goal. Incredible, incredible goal. Puts Lazio up 1-0. And then in the 12th minute, Raspadori from Napoli plays a little 1-2 with Lukaku in the box, and he levels it up for the 1-1. That's how the first half ended. And in the second half, oof, a little bit of bad luck for Lazio with an own goal. It was just a bad touch, and the ball went into the net for 2-1 for Napoli. Now, uh, Napoli were really trying hard to hold on to that lead, and again, they could not do it in Rome. Boulagna, with his 86-minute equalizer, he was top of the box on the right-hand side. Nice shot, good goal. The final ends 2-2. So Napoli drop points again. So going back to Inter. Inter are in second place. Could they capitalize against their arch rivals Juventus? Juventus are the home team, and in the first 20 minutes, there were even chances. Both teams were creating big, big chances. It was a very, very open game. But in the first half, no goals. We had to wait until the second half, until the 73rd minute. Goal by Juventus. Goal by Conceição. So Muani created chaos, just absolute chaos at the top of the box. And somehow, some way, he finds Conceição. Conceição with a nice, nice finish. Juve win 1-0. Inter fail to go top. Napoli stay in first with a 2-point lead. This is going to go to the wire. Napoli with Antonio Conte as their coach. Inter, the defending champs. Who do you think is going to do it? Who do you think is going to win Serie A? Leave me a comment. Express your opinion. Tell me what you think. Personally, I think it would be great for the league if Napoli won. I think I like Antonio Conte. He's a little bit of a firecracker. He has a temper. um, Inter, I got to tell you, I prefer Inter Milan over Juventus. I like them a little bit more. I like their history a little bit more. Um, Juventus, not the fairest team that has played football. They have allegedly done a lot of stuff that is not good. They had the Calciopoli scandal in 2006, right before the World Cup. They got relegated because apparently they paid referees. They've been known to just not play too fair. And while I love that Juventus team of the 90s with Edgar Davids and Zinedine Zidane and Del Piero, uh, with Antonio Conte himself, it's just hard to look at the entire picture and think to yourself, well, uh, you know, they deserve they deserve to be loved by their own fans. It's just as a neutral, probably. I still watch their games because they have a lot of history. They have a lot of good players. Historically, um, you know, they win Serie A. They have the most titles out of everybody in Italy. So, if you want to watch a good game in Italy, Juventus, they're always up there. AC Milan is there with their 7 European Cups. But Inter has a little bit of a soft spot for me because AC Milan was first. AC Milan was the one who initially started it all at Milan for these two teams. And along the way, early in their history, they decided that, by the way, for those that don't know, this is a little bit of history for you. This is why I like Inter a little bit more than AC Milan, even though I still watch both of them, and I like Inter over Juventus. AC Milan decided that they were only going to recruit Italian players. I mean, perfectly um, okay policy. Um, they thought it was important to only recruit Italian players. It's what they wanted to stand for. And to this day, they really, really focus on their academy, the Italian youth. Um, that's very, very important. But it took a little bit of time for them to do away with that policy and start signing foreign players again. But some of the members from AC Milan thought that that was just not a good policy. So they decided to quit and they decided to start their own club, Internazionale de Milan. So they wanted to stay with recruiting foreigners. They wanted to be okay with immigrants. And I mean, look at me. Uh, I like that. I think that's good. Um, opens the mind to new experiences. You get to experience different cultures, different languages, different foods, different ideas, and maybe they're not all that good. Maybe you like something and you don't like something else, but at least you learn. And obviously, both AC Milan and Inter Milan now they recruit foreigners. They have an incredible history, but just a little bit of knowledge for you as to why I prefer Inter Milan in Serie A. I think that Conte, Antonio Conte, has a little bit more of an edge, a little bit more experience than the current Inter Milan coach Inzaghi, even though he's the champion. Antonio Conte has just won more, and that probably puts him in a little bit of a better spot. Obviously, you're thinking, they just dropped points to Lazio. Uh, historically, Napoli doesn't really do well in Rome. And I think that Antonio Conte is going to go ahead and fix that. So hopefully, Napoli can keep on trucking along because Inter are more than likely going to be doing the same. As I said before, I think this is going to be going to the wire. Well, guys, that's it. Thank you for joining me for tonight's show. Watch Barcelona tomorrow. That's going to be a very, very big game. Thanks. Just one last piece of admin. Uh, If you want to contact me, if you want to send me an email, if you have some questions, if you want to tell me to shut up, you don't know what you're talking about, you can do so. You can send me an email at the liberal playmaker at gmail.com. You can also leave me comments on Spotify. You can rate the show. You can leave me comments on YouTube. You can like, share, and subscribe. And with that, adios. Have a great night.